Dude, I feel like Brendan Fraser's aged really good, all things considered.
Yeah, he was fat, and then he's not.
Oh wow. This is episode 26 of I Finally Saw, where today I finally saw the original The Mummy. Well, hey everybody, and welcome to... It's not spooky month at all, is it? Where we just felt compelled to do a little bit of research, homework, looking back on one of these classic monster movies. I dressed up as best I could. It's kind of falling apart, but you know, Ember died. That mummy got them.
Dang. Should have just used the Magi.
Well, okay, I guess it's that time of, well, I'm so frazzled by all the crazy mummy stuff that's been going on. I don't remember what happens next. I'm supposed to, is this when I read the paragraph, right? Yeah,
you're supposed to introduce us. Well, introduce...
Oh, that's right! Today I am introducing, I am joined by Dayton.
Hello.
And of course, I am joined by Ember.
Maybe.
Perhaps. As long as the internet or the mummy, whichever where it comes first, I guess, doesn't eradicate our connection.
The mummy's actually haunting my internet connection apparently today.
I know.
Even though it's showing all green bars.
They don't want people to know. They don't want people to know about the mummy. But yeah, so they were talking about the original 1923 Mummy movie. We'll probably eventually get around to the 1999 Brendan Fraser at some point, but I don't know. These monster movies are really interesting to me. We're not really going in order for these, I realize, but I don't know if we'll have time to get into all that today. But the way they kind of saved Universal, the way that they are in some ways were like some of the initial executions of what we now kind of dub like crossover movies, with stuff like, I think there was like Frankenstein versus the Wolfman and stuff like that, and the way that these iterations of the characters have become so iconic that I think there are things that we're pulling from them even now that were just kind of invented for these stories. But yeah, I guess at this point go ahead and introduce our story today. So without further ado, to introduce this movie, here is a paragraph that, once again, I have copy and pasted because I am too lazy to write anything myself.
Death, eternal punishment for anyone who opens this casket.
A team of British archaeologists led by Sir Joseph Wemple discovered the mummified remains of the ancient Egyptian prince Imhotep, along with the legendary scroll of Thoth. When one of the archaeologists recites the scroll aloud, Imhotep returns to life, but escapes. Several years later, Imhotep has taken on the guise of a wealthy man as he searches Egypt for his lost love, who he believes has been reincarnated as the lovely Helen Grosvenor? I probably said that right. Well, okay, so yeah. I have my theories, but how many of you have seen this movie prior to today?
Every single day.
You rise and grind.
No, I have not seen it. I've never seen it, believe it or not.
You know, I do believe it. That's the crazy thing. Somehow that's not surprising to me.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where the remake kind of takes over the original's legacy.
Yeah, well, and what's interesting, like comparing this movie to something, because I believe like Dracula and Frankenstein predate this. Like Boris Karloff, who plays the mummy, is obviously incredibly famous for his portrayal of Frankenstein. That version, that makeup, that skin, that haircut is kind of, even though it like resembles not at all the description of the creature in the book, as I think kind of just like his face as the creature has, I think, just become so iconic. And I think there's a story that when they were marketing this, I think it was just like Karloff, the Mummy, and that was it. That was all they had to like sell people on, because Frankenstein was such a smash hit. But the interesting thing is that, like, in the case of like Frankenstein and Dracula, which I believe both predate this movie, like those had source material, and obviously they changed some things or something, but there was still like something to pull from. And I think this whole thing was just kind of inspired by the unearthing of King Tut. I think they unearthed King Tut. That was like a really big thing at the time, and someone was just kind of like, what if like the Mummy killed people? I guess was the pitch. I don't know. I wasn't in that room.
Yeah, no, they actually just took a video of you from right now and just showed you saying those words, and that was the whole pitch.
Well, yeah, somebody beamed that into space, and it ping-ponged off of an asteroid, and was.
You don't know that we already have time travel technology, but only for video?
I guess I missed
that
day.
They read the news article about King Tut, and they were just like, what if this guy tried to kill me?
Yeah, so I don't know.
Before we get any farther along, really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure to smash that like button like Emotep wanted to smash Helen.
So if we get to 2 likes, we'll
what if it's like the amulet?
No, we'll
guys. If you don't like and subscribe, the Mummy is that the only way to protect yourself from the Mummy's curse is by liking and subscribing right now. You got to do it right now. That's the only way to protect yourself.
The Mummy will get you at 3 a.m.
The Mummy. Don't call the Mummy at 3 a.m.
Subscribe
and comment and all the other things.
All that jazz.
You like jazz?
Dang it. I was hoping we would go longer on the show without a B-movie reference.
I'm sorry. Hey,
yeah,
second season, that's respectable.
That's what we get for having a Seinfeld fan on the pod.
She was 17, Jerry! Oh, right, the Mummy. So, okay, so maybe it helps to start at the beginning, right? So this movie is so interesting to me because it starts with, like, something that I did not realize was this far back of a horror movie tradition. It has a cold open kill. Really? Right? So we open on, there's Dr. Mustache, the professor, and then like photographer guy. And they're all like talking. It's like 1922 and they've just uncovered this mummy. And they're all having it. And like the really young guy is like, dude, can we open this box that we found? And everyone's like, no, like we got to finish cataloging this stuff. We found this mummy or whatever. And it's like, but what's in that box though? And so they open that box. Or no, so they take the box out and on the box is like, there's a curse where it's just like, it's just this ancient curse. It's just like, hey, if you open this box, you will die. And the young guy's like, let's open the box. And everybody else kind of understandably exercises a little bit of caution.
Well, yeah, one dude just straight up leaves. As soon as he sees his curse, he's just like, all right, I'm gone.
Yes, that's the doctor guy, right?
Yeah, he gets it. He gets his hat and he's like, well, I'm not going to be a part of this no more.
Well, yeah, they're all British.
He's the person that everyone says that they would be in a horror movie about how they would like never go check out the noise or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Does he appear later in the movie? I'm trying to remember.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's like the guy in charge of Helen. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy.
Oh, if that. Okay, yeah.
Like her caretaker.
I thought he was older. He was older.
You might be right.
I'm pretty sure it's the same guy.
Better to throw their pictures up side by side.
Yeah, well, if he doesn't come back, that's a very smart guy.
Well, yeah,
he just does not care.
So the doctor's leaving and the professor's like going after him. He's like, "What are you doing?" And he's just like, "You shouldn't open that box." The doctor's like, "You shouldn't open that box, man. Like I've been here a long time. This stuff is real." And he's like, "Well, I don't believe in any of that." So. Or I don't even know. He's like exercising caution, but he's also like, this is the greatest discovery potentially ever for archaeology. Like, you can't tell me to just not explore this historic achievement. And so while they're having this discussion, young, like Blondie, I don't remember his name. He opens the box and then looks at this thing that's like, this is the ancient transcription that, what is it? Osiris used to bring Osiris back to life. Right?
Yes.
Or Isis used to bring Osiris back to life. And he reads it.
I think Isis, but yeah.
One thing I want to say about that scene, it is such a good use of sound for horror. Because they don't use any music. There's barely any sound to it. It's just the humming of like, just general film hum. And that really does set a tone of just like creepiness throughout that scene.
I agree overall, but I think they just, if they added a little bit more something towards the end, because it got like, it was, I don't know, it felt like the science dragged on a little too much.
Maybe, but I really vibed with it. I'm tired of like horror stings are not like something I care for. Even though if you're probably saying something more akin to just like little slight noises, which I think
little slight noises, because it was, at least in the version that I managed to go ahead and see, which was off of YouTube, because you could rent it for like $4 or whatever. It was like dead silent except for like, whenever he set down the lid or whatever.
You're not a fan of like the horror movie like thing where there's like all the violence like, and it's just really loud, and it's like they're telling you you're supposed to be scared now, FYI.
No, I just scream in the theater like my ears burn, and I get kicked out, so I could never watch the rest of the movie.
You never know how it ends.
It's always me kicking Dayton out too.
The only time I've ever remember a horror sting really hitting is like Halloween, and that's just because it's kind of utilizing the soundtrack like type of noises, so it feels thematically coherent with the rest of the movie. But that's not Mummy, so let's not talk about that.
Yeah, so then he reads the inscription, and then the titular mummy comes to life, and that little like sequence, that little shot where it's like he's in the thing and his eyes open, and as his eyes open, you only get like the little glint in his eye. I really liked that. And then he comes out and puts his hand on the inscription. Photography guy freaks out. And then I was really confused because I thought that he was like heaving or something. And then I was like, oh no, he's laughing. And then I was like, wait, why is he laughing? And then it was, I guess the sight of a mummy was so insane, and where the mummy uses hypnosis powers, which I didn't know mummies had, to kill him.
I think they just...
Or he just thought it was a really good joke. Like he said, like, guy, dude, he just walked away. Yeah, that's how it sounded. That scene, you would have expected the mummy opening its eyes. It would have probably like, if it was...
Oh, it would have been like...
I feel like any other movie would have probably have done like a really sound cue for that, but it's really is just kind of unsettling that they didn't give it anything.
Yeah, that is the difference, I suppose, when you compare this to other things. It's very much less is more, I guess, in this instance. But I remember watching that sequence and kind of thinking the same thing. This is almost on the complete opposite end of the spectrum of how this sequence would have played out. If it was done today, like there would have been like a lot of like those like low like boom, like even just when he like opens the lid. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I was like fully scared, but in a way, almost the lack of an overwhelming sound atmosphere like kind of intrigued me.
One thing I want to say, I thought that photographer was so much more interesting than the main characters we get. Later on in this movie. Like he showed more character in those, I think 5 minutes than
5 to 10 something
main
like
characters
that,
did for like the entire film.
I also just want to go ahead and point out that that little like introductory section that takes place in an era where it only about 30 years had passed since British people stopped eating mummies. So I just really want to like imagine an alternate version of this movie where they just started fucking like chowing down.
Why did they eat mummies?
I get the phalanges. I get the phalanges.
I want the liver. I don't know why they ate mummies. They're British.
Yeah.
What was everyone's general thoughts about just the movie in general? Just like, did you like it?
It was like, well, here's the thing, and I had my expectations tapered a little bit because this movie, there's not a lot of, I mean, I know it's kind of a general rule of thumb that like antagonists are often in a movie less sometimes when you actually tally it up than you actually expect them to be. Like I think one of the most infamous examples of that is like Darth Vader. I want to say only has like 11 minutes of screen time in like the first like A New Hope or something, where it's like when you think back on it, it's like, oh, that makes sense, but he makes such an impression that you don't necessarily realize that upon your first couple views. And yet this was an instance where I kind of had that knowledge. I don't remember the exact statistic, but I heard that makeup, especially the makeup when he first kind of shows up as the mummy, like took hours and hours and hours to get that all onto him. And so like the story that people always tell is all that time and effort to do that makeup, and the character is in the movie for like there's not a lot of mummy in the mummy is the funny thing to me. I mean, he's really only actually like the mummy for like one scene, I would argue, and then he's just Man in Fez, who is technically dead. I mean, okay, I don't know. This is where you start to get into like Ship of Theseus, where it's like, does he need to have the bandages to be a mummy, or is it just like because he was? Well, no, he wasn't embalmed. He's not a. I just realized he's not even a mummy at all. He's a fraud because they buried him alive. Right?
He's a fraud. Yeah, no, he is. Yeah, no,
they wouldn't wrap
zombie.
No, because think about this, right? Because think about this. Like mummification was a specific process, right? Where like the removal of the organs, the embalming, all that. There was a specific way you curate the body, and they say this.
Point out in the introductory scene that he didn't have his organs removed. So yeah, that's.
And he was buried alive.
They just wrapped the man in gauze and like chucked him in a sarcophagus, and we're like,
you can't embalm a living body, right? So he's not even a mummy. The mummy is not a mummy, I would argue.
Yeah, he should have been he should have been broken down. Like he should have been like decomposed way more than he was. He was dried up whenever they found him.
Yes.
Which wouldn't make sense.
Well, so then he becomes like some guy in a fez, and he is like hijacking a archaeology expedition like 10 years later, and he's like, hello, he talks to the son of the professor from the opening scene, who's now leading a new expedition.
He becomes Ardith Bay.
Yes, Argith Bay, and he's like, hello, I believe I could be of assistance. I believe there may be a tomb of an ancient Egyptian princess in this direction. And like the guys running the new expedition are just kind of like, well, I mean, we're out of luck, so we may as well give it a shot. They go, they dig there, and sure enough, there's that tomb of that mysterious princess. The like young British guy who's now leading the new expedition is like frustrated that they're not allowed to steal the artifacts for the British Museum. And they're like, why does it have to go to the Cairo Museum?
I wrote down the deal exactly because I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about this. This quote is so funny to me. The British Museum works in the cause of science, not loot. Which is great to hear. That's a great thing to hear. Very accurate. They don't steal things.
Yeah.
So what were your guys what were your guys' thoughts on the movie? Just like, did you like it, not like it, or do you?
I mean, I don't mean
it's a really solid first try.
Yeah, I think it's heavily carried by really good instances, but the rest of the movie is not that interesting. It's like a less interesting version of Dracula or Nosferatu.
Kind of.
Yeah. And I mean,
I did find it interesting how, for the movie overall, you can just kind of see that there's a lot of things that they actually did go on ahead and take from this, 1932 version into the 1999 version. But then they also kind of, because Ardith Bay and Imhotep were kind of the same person, basically. Or, well, I guess Ardith Bay was just a name that Imhotep took, where Ardith Bay in the 1999 version was just a whole separate character that was with the good guys. And it was just interesting to kind of like piece together, I guess, reverse engineer how they went through and kind of reworked the plot to go on ahead and make that later version into the fun schlocky B movie with a movie budget thing that it is.
There's not. I mean, it's not very long. It's an hour and change.
Oh,
it's like an hour and 12 minutes. which was
I was
surprised.
It ended, and I was surprised it ended. It was so abrupt how it ends. They save the girl and immediately just ends. I'm pretty sure like the last thing is like asking, "Are you okay?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm okay," and then it's just the end.
It's one of my favorite things about old movies is that they have no epilogue.
That's all you need.
Yeah, it's literally they save the day.
That's all, folks.
They don't even get home. It's like it's not even like, and then they go home. They don't even get home. They're just like they kill the bad guy, and they're like, "Are you all right?" The end, and I don't know. It's really funny to me. I don't know. I think like
they gave the audience closure by saying they're all right now.
I don't know. I feel two ways about it because on the one hand, I always am trying to kind of put a best foot forward and look at things in the time that they were made and put my head in that headspace and be like, oh, this is really interesting. But it's also, I think I agree, and I need to but because I know this is post Frankenstein, and I believe this is also like post Dracula, and this is even like post Hunchback and post Phantom of the Opera. Like those were I think those like Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback of Notre Dame, I believe, were the like first two ever like Universal monster movies. I kind of agree with a lot of it. Like this kind of feels like this movie feels very studio driven to me, where they're like, we need I imagine this is still kind of on the time when Universal's on the ropes, and they're like, okay, this monster formula is working. I don't know. And they're like, okay, we'll get Boris Karloff, because, Frankenstein did really well, and have him be like another monster. And then I imagine like Boris Karloff, I mean, I don't know, I'm completely spitballing here, but maybe he was like, well, I want to play like, I want to have lines. I want to have like real dialogue this time. So like, okay, he becomes this like weird character at some point, so that like Boris actually kind of gets to show a little bit more of his acting chops. Not that he's not acting in Frankenstein, but and all this stuff, like I agree, like he feels more Dracula in a way, where he's like got this like he's like pining after this girl who he believes has been like reincarnated as his lover. And he has like this eye, like, isn't it like a thing in some like vampires is like they use their eyes to control people? Or am I completely? I don't know my monsters.
That's kind of a
that was my favorite shot in the movie. Was just that repeated. They used it a bunch, but it is a good shot of him looking dead at the camera with like his eyes glowing. The darkness around his eyes really works. Austin just came up really close to his camera and tried to mummify me.
I do think that shot was also like a fun like bit of basically VFX from the time, where like you can tell that they went in on the film strip itself and kind of lightened up the eyes to give them that glowing effect.
I was just really impressed how well it came out. Like, I think it's just really, it's a lot of it is just like, whenever the mummy is trying to be creepy, they do it pretty successfully, but I feel like the movie doesn't really have much else to give you. Like, there's not really, the main characters are very generic.
I mean, what do you guys think about the romance?
Give you any sort of lesson.
They had no chemistry. I couldn't bring myself to care.
I couldn't care about the main guy because he had nothing. He had nothing to do, really. He was just the guy that kind of like would come in. He didn't even do anything. It was the girl who did all the work. It was just really, like I said, I think the photographer would have at least brought a different energy to this movie that would have been welcome.
Yeah. I think
this guy was just reactive constantly.
Yeah, if this guy was meant to be our protagonist, this is the most like passive. Or at least one of the most passive protagonists I've ever seen. Because
does he actually like do anything?
Said, he only reacted. He never really was pro. What? Sorry.
Does he ever actually do anything?
He kisses her at the end.
No, he's just kind of. His dad is the one who does stuff. It's either his dad does something. The photographer actually was a person who was very proactive in investigating the mummy at all.
He's a nepo baby protagonist.
Oh my god!
He is. He was. He is a nepo baby. I don't know. I think he was just there to be kind of eye candy for the time period, but he really didn't have anything to do. The woman was it was just to introduce the woman character, the female character, and
Helen.
She doesn't have much of a personality outside of like just being connected to the mummy, but at least she does stuff to where you can at least say she has a somewhat of a semblance of a character.
She has a little bit of a personality that kind of came through. I don't remember who she was talking with, but like she just kind of shut down a conversation around the 1/3 point of the movie, I think, or maybe halfway through. Like, something had kind of upset her, and like instead of just kind of passively letting the other person kind of like nudge the information out of her, she's just like, let's not.
Yeah, I mean, like there's hints towards something that I think is kind of interesting with her in that. Well, I mean, no, I mean, she has an interesting conflict. She has this interesting conflict of this, like, mummy is trying to mind control her, and she is talking about, like, oh, I would rather, like, be able to fall in, like, and I don't know, I don't really completely buy her romance with that guy, but, like, the whole, like, I would rather live a life by my own choice and die kind of prematurely than to become someone I don't like, I don't recognize, but, quote, like, live forever. And that I think is interesting.
She got back a lot of her memories from her previous lives, like her previous life. And it's actually very interesting for her to choose her current, like that dilemma of she pretty much is two people at one point, where she's like, I am this modern woman, but I also had this life in ancient Egypt. And when it was revealed, whatever, she had to make the decision of go with the mummy and go back to being her old self, or choosing to be the new person that she was born as. Even though it's a very obvious decision what she's going to make, it's still a somewhat interesting conflict. Which means she kind of carries the movie, but it feels like she should have gotten focused on way earlier, but she just kind of comes in as just what you only think of as the romantic lead, whenever she's way more important to that as the movie goes on. Like, you realize.
It's very much like a 1930s movie, because they put her in a plot wise, I guess, kind of like a supporting role when she should have just straight up been the main character, and given her
feels
a handful
almost
more things
kind
to
of
do.
Like a parody of itself a little bit, like it feels kind of like a living parody a little bit, where you have you see I saw this a lot growing up, where people would kind of parody that sort of old golden age of Hollywood kind of I mean, it's like something like Miss Piggy, for example. Like, she kind of is sort of playing on that, and this just feels like that. This feels like a Miss Piggy kind of, the way it's written. I don't know necessarily the way it's fully performed, but the way it's like written, where it's just kind of like they have like one conversation, and they're both sort of like immediately like, just like, oh, Helen, I've never loved a woman like you before. We must get married. And it's just like, again, a side note, I don't know about you, but if I was getting courted by somebody, and the way they're trying to like woo me is by saying, I have never liked anybody until now, and it was you. There's like something about this entire class of people that you are a part of
that's such a miserable person
that have never caught my attention, but you.
It's so fun. It's also, he met her first when she was basically intoxicated, or she was just not fully conscious.
Oh yeah,
and that's when he fell in love with her.
Yeah.
He found pretty much, to him, was a drunk woman banging on the door of the museum. He was like, "Hey, we're closed, but come on in anyway."
Well, no, they took her back to the mansion, and she's just chilling.
Well, at least they called the guy who was watching after her. Luckily,
I just, for like Helen's characterization, this felt weirdly like not of the time. I want to say it's around the middle of the movie. Helen was like kind of, at least it felt flirty with I think it was her love interest around the midway point of the movie, but like it was just like a constant, like, it felt like a more overt display of like, I guess her sexuality that just felt very not from then.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, and I can't remember the line of dialogue, but
But it was multiple, like back and forth, kind of like.
Yes.
I think it was her love interest, the main character, nepo baby of the movie, who just kind of like they were just kind of flirting back and forth, and then I think her caretaker, or like her grandpa, whatever it was just kind of there trying to like explain the plot or something effectively to the two of them, get them on board, but like they just kept like being basically horny teens at each other.
Because they just had so much chemistry.
What was the golden chainsaw of this movie?
Oh, wow.
I don't. I love that Imhotep just has like the Pond edition of the Death Note.
Yeah, he could just cast
What's a
heart
guy
attack.
like heart attack? Dude,
Yeah.
Bros Ryuk.
Okay, how many people actually died in this movie? There's photographer guy at the beginning. The main character's main character,
insane,
quote unquote,
which I
dad.
think
He
that
goes
counts as a
insane.
No,
direct-
they say they say he died. They say he died laughing in a straitjacket. He is dead.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's later on. I don't count that as the Mummy directly doing it. Personally,
It wasn't on
But
screen.
anyway,
Well,
But does that count?
Okay.
It feels like a
if there were-
stretch.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So we have that guy. We have the the professor heart attack.
And then
Professor heart
Imhotep.
attack. An Emotep. I think you
professor-
kind of have to go with Emotep just because
Yeah.
he had like that makeup. But for me, I guess it would be the photographer guy. I liked the like laughing to death. It's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like that's an
he
interesting
just
thing a mummy
becomes
can
the
make you do.
Joker.
Yeah.
Dude, dude, it's
that's a good
Batman
idea,
Who
actually.
smiles.
They should get the Jared. They should get the Jared Leto to play Mummy.
God, he keeps getting in. He keeps getting in
I
stuff.
want to edit Jared Leto's Joker laugh on top of that clip now.
He says like
bro.
he said you have to put in like that pretty please.
I think my golden chainsaw has to be the Professor Heart Attack though, because it just goes on for so long. It's just like,
It's
and there's
so
no. I don't. Is there no music in that scene? Is it just him stumbling around?
That sounds right.
I
don't know. I love
think
that.
there was-
I love
I feel
that.
like there was an orchestra. I feel like there was an orchestra, but it was just. It's so funny
In your
Him
mind,
just
it
like
was.
it doesn't look like there's a struggle. It looks like he's just genuinely having a heart attack the entire time.
Yeah.
They just filmed it.
He
Yeah,
actually
the actor
died on
actually
set that
died.
day.
This guy's a really good actor. I mean,
Once they
God-
finally stopped rolling
God
the cameras,
damn it! The lens cap was
he
on.
doesn't have a pulse.
oh my god.
Yeah, I mean that was the last scene. Hey, that was the last scene we had in the movie. And him, they like scratch out the one, like his final lines.
They scratch out like 5 pages of dialogue.
Yeah, that's why the movie was so short. There was supposed to be like 4 other scenes with that guy, but he just died. He just. God, he was the main character. How are we gonna focus on him? No, it's like let's just do his damn son that's there.
I want to
Solving
know,
it.
because like whenever they're doing the flashback, when Emotep is showing Helen like their past life and all that, I want to know why they felt the need to put the like little. Not vignette, but like they put basically static PNGs on the corners to like round it off. I know that it's kind of there to show that it's a
Okay.
pond, but like
Yeah, that's why.
But that
It's 'cause-
section of the movie is so yes, but that section of the movie is so distinct from like the rest of the movie. I don't think you need it because like
Well, it's 'cause
even like
it's
okay,
Yeah, it's
most of the
because
rest of the
he
movie has like no.
That's because earlier in the movie they established he has the magic pond, which is how he like casts the heart attack spell.
Yeah, but
And so when he just has a magic pond, and so he's like, "Here, this is what it used to be."
Kills you.
And because and so because we're panning down, we're supposed to be her perspective as if we're seeing this in the pond.
yeah, but I just feel like you could zoom in just a little bit more so you don't have that in the corners anymore, and it would still work just the same, and you get a little bit more of the frame of what they shot initially because That scene is so distinct from the rest of the movie because like the rest of the movie just pretty much doesn't have music outside of like transitions, transitory moments. While that entire scene just has like a backing track the whole time. On top of that, Emotep is narrating the entire time, which also makes it feel distinct. But even if it were completely silent, it's visually so distinct. So like having all four of those, it just feels like you're kind of overly like telling the audience, hey, this isn't now.
Maybe they'd never heard of a flashback before, so they had to make it really obvious. They were like, wait, why did he make Egypt real again? Why is it back?
Egypt's real.
Yeah.
Dude, the mummy's gonna get me in real life. That's so scary, dude. Why would you tell me that?
Austin's gonna show up in your bedroom at 3 a.m.
Yeah, don't call mummy.
There's so at the beginning of the movie, we were talking about this in the pre-show a little bit. The movie opens on Swan Lake, which I believe at the time was just a sort of piece of stock music, or because it was orchestral music, it was just, I think, kind of in the public domain at that point. And so whatever the case, whether there was a rendition specifically recorded for this movie or just something they had in their like sound library, the piece itself was in the public domain, and so they were taking advantage of that. But it's also, I believe, plays at the beginning of Dracula, which came out before this. There's actually a number of movies from early Universal around this time period. Not all of the monster movies that open with Swan Lake. I think it ended up just kind of becoming like the theme song they would play at the beginning of certain like movies to just kind of set the tone of like, this is scary. But the interesting thing to me is that now like that piece has sort of just kind of become associated with like monsters in general. That whole sort of rendition of Swan Lake, and just kind of the I guess sort of the nature of like, it's like Swan Lake, isn't it also kind of about like weird transformations and rejection in a way? And so I think now it's sort of kind of become this like sort of by happenstance, this melody for these freaks, which I think is interesting.
There's something interesting about movies that get overshadowed by its reboot. And do you think it was deserved for this movie?
I know there are some people that go to the extent to say that most of these movies are really, really bad. I don't know if I would go to that extent. I think to me there will always be a certain level of charm in these movies, if just the accents, the costume design, the language. I mean, even though I could feel like this movie probably wasn't super expensive, there's still a level of production design and cinematography in it that I think is really cool and really interesting. But all that being said, I mean, I think there's a reason that I think there's a reason that the original 1930s version of Frankenstein is still kind of the one. And you look at the cinematic history of The Mummy, and it's so much more, people are so much more willing to kind of take creative liberties with it. The Tom Cruise one was bordering, wasn't that just an action movie?
That was straight dark fantasy action. Modern. It was really stupid how they just had Jekyll and Hyde as the professor character in the movie.
Because they were setting up the dark universe.
Cinematic universe.
Yeah, I remember the dark universe.
Yes. And now that's the name of the land in Epic Universe.
Fury.
That's the name of the land in Universal Studios now. That's called the Dark Universe. So
a much better use of that idea. A much better use from what I've seen. I haven't been yet. I really want to go.
I mean, this is just kind of a small comment, but it made me genuinely laugh and kind of took me out of the tone that they were trying to set early in the movie whenever there was noticeably different lighting for the insert shots of the mummy whenever it was first discovered in that first scene. It was just so much better lit all of a sudden.
You barely see him in the wide.
Jarring degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's one line that stood out to me,
Yeah.
actually, and I want to hear if any of you agree with this. I don't know, maybe I'm putting you all on the spot a little bit, but search your minds throughout the depths of fiction, and I want to see, or even just history, and I want to see, do you guys agree with the statement? There's a line that both Imhotep and then later Helen, when she's kind of hypnotized, state a couple of times, which is that no man has ever suffered for a woman as you have suffered for me. Is that true? Like getting arrested for religious treason because you are using magic spells to bring your dead lover back to life, and you are forcibly mummified alive, except not really, because they don't actually mummify you. They just wrap you in gauze and bury you for like 3,000 years, and then you come back to life, and whatever. Like, I don't know. Is there anyone, any man that has suffered more for his love?
No, that's it.
Okay.
No.
I mean, I will say to your like point, I think they meant like within this universe, so to speak. Or
Well,
like
yes, but let's.
because like I mean, like obviously, but yeah, if you want to go ahead and zoom out, yeah, there's plenty.
Well, you know,
From the
like,
Lego movie.
you know what? Okay, yeah, we'll go with that
His struggle was just so tough.
one. All right,
I'd rather be buried alive
all right. Well,
by the
Dayton.
gods.
Dayton, would you recommend 1990 or 1932's The Mummy?
I personally kind of liked it, but I think that it was very much I appreciated how it handled the horror. Personally, if you're only interested in just kind of the history of horror, I'd say, yeah, go ahead. But if you're like trying to look for a good horror movie, I think you'll find better mummy movies in the same type of franchise, if you would just look anywhere else. I think that while this movie has very strong merits, I think honestly, YouTube clips is not too bad of a way to experience this movie, but it's short. It is a short movie. So if you're just like one Halloween, you're like, oh, I want to watch a monster movie, but you've seen all the other ones, I don't think this one's gonna ruin your day. I think it's gonna make your day pretty fun.
I feel like YouTube clips is not a bad way to enjoy this movie. It's kind of an insane statement. Ember, would you recommend this movie to people?
I'm going to outdo Dayton and say that TikTok clips specifically are an even better way.
No, because you don't
37 parts.
Not this ratio. Do not do this ratio.
It's almost within that ratio to start with. It's not a widescreen movie to start. I think it's 4:3 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's still not.
You would just have black bars on the. Okay, you could just put black bars on the top and bottom of the screen, and there you go.
You know what? Sure.
Don't watch movies on
Go
TikTok.
kill cinema, Ember. Kill Embers. Kill Ember cinema.
Kill Ember? No.
No,
Would I recommend this movie? That's a very interesting
I didn't even say if I did.
Oh, okay. You can.
No, go.
Yeah, I mean, probably. I'm sure there's other Universal monster movies that would probably more immediately come to mind. But I don't think you'll really lose anything by watching it. At the very least, I can say that I was definitely entertained. I don't know if it was as spooky or as gothic or as, I don't know, like culturally educational as you would potentially expect or hope a movie about like a mummy could possibly be. But I also think that it's just got some really just solid foundational, well executed, if, presumably like maybe a little bit like lower budget filmmaking. Like at the very least, like I like the cinematography, I like the makeup a lot, and just seeing that in motion, like I just like seeing Boris Karloff playing this like weirdo, who, I don't know.
I think the fact that it's short really helps. The fact that it is a pretty easy watch, even if it's like that, like the writing doesn't hold up. It's still a very easy thing to watch because its pacing is pretty decently paced. It's not like at 20 minutes, I felt like went by pretty fast for me.
Mhm.
Like I paused it and I was like, oh shoot, I've been through that much of the movie.
Oh yeah.
So I was chilling most of the time.
Check it out. Why not? All right. Well, I think that brings that to the end of this discussion. But thank you all for joining me, and thank you all at home for watching. I love you all. Hope you have a good night, and goodbye.